Welcome everyone. As I said, my name is Christopher Stoyanowski. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Social, Behavioral, and Population Sciences at the Tulane University. And I'm going to say a really long name, Celia Scott Weatherhead, School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine. And I'm also the research director of Partners for Advancing Health Equity. Oh, we are in 2025, aren't we? It is.
Unfortunately.
Yes, we are in it. It's been 2 months. I hope everyone's holding on. But also, this is why we're here today. And the title of today's kind of workshop, this is the first workshop of the Partners for Advancing Health Equity in this year. And we thought it was important to get into civic and policy engagement. And so I'm excited to introduce our facilitators and let them introduce themselves, share a little bit more. So first we have Cassandra Welchlin, who was with everyone, by the way, is with the Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable, who is here with us. So thank you, Cassandra, for being here. We also have Carla Edwards, who's on. If you want to say hi, I'll let you.
Hi, I'll let Cassandra.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Hello, everybody. Cassandra Welchlin, Executive Director of the Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Tuesday. My name is Carla Edwards, and I proudly serve as the Deputy Director of Program and Strategy with Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable.
Thank you, Carla. Welcome. Thanks for coming and doing this with us. And we have Melissa Overton.
I'm Melissa Overton. I'm Community Outreach and Rapid Response Manager here at Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable.
Thank you, Melissa. And Zakia Thagard. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to virtually meet you. My name is Zakia Thagard, and I work with the Civic Engagement Department in the role of Black Youth Vote Coordinator. So nice to virtually meet you.
Well, thank you all for being here. So today we invited the Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable to kind of showcase how they're doing the work of civic and policy engagement, particularly through the lens in Mississippi. So welcome. We're so excited to have you. We'll let you just take it off because y'all are super great. And yeah, welcome.
Thank you. And I'll just ask Jan if she will introduce herself to us.
My apologies.
Absolutely not a problem. No apology necessary. Good morning, everyone. I am Jennifer Raleigh Collins, owner and principal consultant for J. Raleigh Collins Consulting, and have been working with Cassandra and her team since Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable was first conceived in her heart and mind. And so I am pleased to be here for this presentation this morning.
Thank you, Jan. So I'll get us started right off, but I just want to ground us a minute and our people in our place. And given the times that we are living in, I think this is quite appropriate to be inspired. In front of me, you can't see, I have a picture of Fannie Lou Hamer here, who was a foot soldier advocate for voting rights and economic justice for Black people in Mississippi. And so she inspires me every time I come into this space. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. So just wanted to bring us into the room, relax us, so we can have this empowering, amazing conversation today, and invite you here into this moment with us. We're really excited, Christopher and your team, for inviting us here, and we just really look forward to this incredible conversation, hopefully to give you, again, inspiration, ideas, models on how you do this work in your community, but then also we're here to learn as well. So I am a daughter of the South, daughter right here of Mrs. Jackson, Mississippi, and the Black Women's Roundtable is in Jackson, but we are a statewide organization that works at the intersections of race, gender, and economic justice. I'll start off by just telling you a little bit about the work, how we came to be. So the organization was around before I got here in 2018, but it was dormant. Deborah Robinson and Stephanie Parker Weaver were actually doing civic engagement work, but it was really in Jackson and in rural Hinds County. It wasn't statewide as we have expanded it. And that was their focus, was just doing that civic engagement work. Well, they got sick, one passed away, and so it was just dormant for a very, very long time. And the national president, Melanie Campbell, asked if I would take it on in 2017. And because I have been doing work around really women's economic security, childcare organizing work, all of that, she knew the work that I've been doing because Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable is a part of a national org. There are, I believe, 12 affiliates across the country, and Mississippi is, and most of them are in the South. And Mississippi is it is one of the affiliates. And so, what was happening? I was asked to give new life to the organization. And as Jennifer said, she was with me as we were, sitting really in her office at another organization, really dreaming about what this could be. And I said, yes, I'm going to do this. And the organization, under my leadership, I had brought in another initiative called the Mississippi Women's Economic Security Initiative that I co-founded in 2015 that really centered, women and what they need to be economically secure, and really put together a strong policy agenda that, centers what our kitchen tables needed, but making that connect with the policy making table. So when I came into the Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable, I brought that core work with me. And from there, it expanded, and we broadened the work from just civic engagement to the policy advocacy work of focusing on women's economic security. And so, because one of the things that I say is that I believe policy is the work of our democracy, but voting is the heart of our democracy. And you can't do one without the other, right? Because it takes people having their access to the polls in order to vote for people who will care and vote on issues at the policy table, care about their kitchen tables and vote on those issues at the policy table. And so the work evolved, from the voting rights to strategic policy advocacy, and with focus on things such as pay equity, workplace protections, increasing wages, access to health care. We focus on ending violence against women and girls, child care. And we put together, it was the first comprehensive policy agenda in the South that was launched in 2015 that front and center brought women to the policy making table. And so today, Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable has this comprehensive program that integrates, civic engagement and integrates transformational leadership. Because again, one of the things that's really important for us is that we make sure that while we are working on policy, we're doing working to increase access to the polls, that women, particularly Black women, that is, we are giving them the tools and the opportunities to be the leaders in their community and again, to hold folks accountable to the policymaking process, whether that's at the federal level, state level, or national level. And then we expanded that to community outreach and rapid response, which you will hear my team member talk about. And so the work remains community driven. Again, with this intersectional and intergenerational approach. I'm a community organizer. I'm a social worker and I'm a community organizer, just like Fannie Lou Hamer was. And we believe, and we were trained to do community organizing in an intergenerational way, because we understand that none of us have the answers, but together with the wisdom infrastructure of our leaders and the energy and the innovation of our young people, we can come together and move the movement and in a way that creates change. And so for us, we want to ensure that Black women and girls across different life stages and experiences have a seat at the table in shaping public policy and advocacy efforts. Have I missed anything, team? Anything y'all want to add to what I've said? Awesome. So in 2018, and if you can move to slide 4, sorry. So key moments in our journey and milestones that shaped our movement. In 2018, we did move towards, the shift towards policy and advocacy that I talked about. And we layered that with our Mississippi Women's Economic Security Initiative campaign, the policy advocacy work. And some of the things that we worked on was we launched a multi-layered strategy, for a campaign around equal pay. In Mississippi, just to give you a little background, Mississippi, as you may know, is one of the poor states in the nation. Minimum wage is still $7.25 here. We haven't had a state minimum wage increase. Mississippi was one of the worst states when it came to the pay gap. We have the highest poverty rate among children. And when we look at who sits in that poverty, who sits in poverty in Mississippi is Black women and it's their children. And so for us, we wanted to really put together an initiative that really focused on and brought attention to who's in our workforce. Half of the workforce in Mississippi are women, and 2/3 of them are minimum wage earners. And then Black women are making the lowest of the wage. And so right now, currently in Mississippi, we're making 55 cents on the dollar. And so we wanted to really highlight equal pay. And so this wasn't just a legislative push, but it was a strategic multi-layered campaign that we combined grassroots organizing, coalition partnerships, direct advocacy. And we put together a robust media campaign that included op-eds, social media strategies. Now, what I would say about this is that one thing that we're really good at Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable is building partnerships, reading the room, connecting the dots. We're really good at also seeing where there are opportunities for us to insert ourselves to get what we need for our families. When we started the MWESI program, which is the Mississippi Women's Economic Security Initiative, we started it for all women, but centering Black women in the middle of that. And so for us, we wanted to build this coalition that was very diverse, but very intentional that Black women was at the center of this campaign. And so when we built the campaign around equal pay, we reached out, we saw opportunity with legislators to partner with that didn't look like me, and race nor gender, but had an interest in lifting up women's wages. And so we began to put this campaign together to lift that up. And hopefully we'll get into more details about what that coalition looked like. And for our first partner, it was a white man who was Southern Baptist and Republican. And he was like, I want to partner with y'all because I have women in my church who are having abortions or maybe having abortions. And if they have more wages, then they may not get an abortion. And we said, let's partner together. So just wanted to say that. The other issue was around Medicaid expansion and coalition building. And for us, was positioned as a key coalition leader, working with organizations such as Mississippi Center for Justice, Mississippi Health Advocacy Project, Care for Mississippi, and put together a bipartisan partnership to push for a broader healthcare. For us, we always enter this space not in healthcare, but as a workplace justice issue. And we wanted to really look at expanding Medicaid for Black women and women who had that was suffering from maternal health issues or maternal deaths. Mississippi has the highest maternal mortality rate in the country. We have the highest infant mortality rate in the country. And so for us, we wanted to really talk about Medicaid expansion or having access to healthcare for our communities. And so that's some of the work in which we did. And these were some key milestones. I'm going to shift it over to Melissa to talk about our emergency response and services during COVID-19 and the Jackson water crises. Melissa?
Hi, everyone. So with the Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable, we did see that there was a need when COVID hit for emergency assistance because, as you know, some people, were not able to actually work or, finances took a hit. So we started doing rental and utility assistance there. So people would be able to get that assistance. Now, our application process wasn't so robust as others because here at our organization, we do not ask for all of the bells and whistles that some agencies ask for because we do understand, most of us here in Mississippi are living paycheck to paycheck. So we didn't want the process to be very hard for those individuals. So we were able to do that. And then in 2021, that's when I came on and I started on February 15, 2021. I will always remember that date. That's because we had a severe ice storm here. Everybody that knows the South, we enjoy the snow, but we're holding our breaths because we know that within the next 24 hours of getting that snow and that snow is going to turn to ice and it's going to cripple our water infrastructure. And that is exactly what happened in 2021. Most of the city and surrounding areas were without water. I want to say we did have some people that were out of water between 8 to 12 weeks. And they couldn't go to, you couldn't really go to work. The kids couldn't really go to school. So we partnered with Wingfield High School and some other organizations. And we actually, we go in community. So we went to those particular spaces. We fed families. I think we did that for about a week. We also provided, resources for families to get, they were able to get resources to do what they wanted to do. And most of them or needed to do because of course necessities were scarce. So some of those residents use that to go to hotel rooms. They use those resources to, buy necessities, wash clothes, whatever. That in itself birthed our Quarters Because We Care initiative. Quarters Because We Care is basically we provide free laundry services to citizens in surrounding areas. So with that, we partner with two laundry facilities, Keyway Super Suds, as well as Harper's Corn Laundry. Residents were able to go wash their clothes because I think, as we go about our day, having clean clothes is really a necessity for everyone to have, and it's taken for granted. So because some of those kids were starting to go back to school, you had parents starting going back to work, and they needed clean laundry to do that. So residents were able to come. They were able to wash as many wash and dry as many loads as they could or needed to within that time frame. And we carried over the rental and utility assistance as well. That has become a part of the Corey project is what we call it. And we continue that, of course, due to funding. So if we have funding, we're able to assist. Again, same criteria. But what we do with that criteria is we take those numbers. So there are things that they have to answer, like, of course, what got you to this place. So we use that for our numbers, or what is impacting you. Is healthcare? Do you, affordable childcare? As Cassandra says, whatever is happening in the home and at those kitchen tables, that helps us when we go to the legislative and to the Capitol to actually let them know, hey, this is what we're hearing from our constituents. We're also a part of, she mentioned the coalition building. With the water crisis of 2021, we were part of the Rapid Response Coalition. That is a group of about 30 to 40 organizations in the state of Mississippi that when something happens, we all are on the ground. When the storm hit, the tornado hit back in 2023, and it tore up those counties, Rolling Fork, Silver City. There were also counties that were not declared emergency towns, but they also had issues. So we made it our business to actually get on the ground, see what they needed, partner with some other organizations, and we provided those necessary necessities that they need. And again, we're in the forefront. So we're the ones that bring back, hey, this is what we're hearing, and that bases a lot of the policy that is moved with Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable.
One thing that I say about the Quarters Because We Care in the laundromat is that we also use that model as our organizing model, and really is our organizing hub. So while she and her team are in there washing clothes, they're not just doing that, they're getting folks registered to vote. They're talking to them about what the issues are. They're asking them what is important to you. And then we have another person on our team who works with the children, right? Doing activities with them, educating them. And so it really is this dynamic place, because we understand we want to be able to engage, which is one of our strategies that we'll get to, is that engage the people that we touch up the engagement ladder. So we don't want to just wash your clothes. We want to now give you an opportunity to come in and let's do some storytelling, or let's do take you through a training around, how does a bill become law? So we really do this ladder of engagement. I'll turn it over to the civic engagement team.
Good morning again. So I'll be talking about community-led voter mobilization campaigns. So I just want to first start off with we believe in being a voter mobilizing organization. Mobilization for civic engagement is a really, really big thing. First thing I want to talk about is partnerships. Partnerships, when we talk about mobilization, is a big thing. With us, we are a part of a civic engagement coalition, which we do partner with for our mobilization efforts. And then when we're talking about partnerships, we want to also bring in, like I said before, organizations, schools, churches, and community leaders. So that's the first thing that I want to bring to your attention when we talk about community voter mobilization is partnership. And then I want to go into talking about one of our initiatives, which is the Power of the Sister Vote Bootcamp. So with this mobilization effort, it was one of our big initiatives that we had last year for voter education mobilization. So with this initiative, we went into 9 different counties across the state of Mississippi. With this initiative, Power of the Sister Vote, we educate them on door knocking, phone banking, text banking, how to host your own community events, poll monitoring, a lot of things that they did not know in those rural areas that had infrequent voters. We taught them and actually had one-on-one conversations with them about how can they mobilize in their communities. Because if we're not there, we still plant the seed in their community that, hey, this is how you mobilize, this is how you get people to the polls. Just to get people educated, engaged, and excited about the electoral process. And so, also, when we're talking about that, I want to bring in some examples that we told them to that could help them. Will help us mobilize to get people to come out. So one thing that we did was doing newspapers. Sometimes you have to go old school when you talk about mobilizing. Some people in those rural areas still read the newspaper. So we had to do newspaper for mobilization. We also had to do radio. People listen to the radio still. We had to do radio. Hey, we're having a boot camp, or hey, can we put this flyer in your church? Like I said before, we're using the church as a partnership. We had to put those flyers inside the church for mobilization, just not flyers for the event, but also voter registration forms to get those people informed that, hey, the presidential election is coming up. We are non-partisan, but we would like you to register to vote too. Also, when we talk about our initiative with the Power of the System, but along with trying to get to the get them educated, engaged, we also had a portion about childcare. A lot of people could not come to the event, so there was another way of how we could lead in the community with another initiative that could bring more people to our event. So within the boot camp, we also had childcare for women to come, so that way they could learn at the same time their child was actually enjoying themselves also on a Saturday morning. So it's different things that we've done to get mobilized and get people informed about the electoral process. And just to bring in some data with these boot camps and with us mobilizing, we almost got to 400 participants coming to these boot camps with us just mobilizing within these 9 counties in the infrequent areas. And then next, I would like to talk about the youth program that we have, Black Youth Vote. Black Youth Vote is within high school and colleges. With those colleges, we are a part of HBCUs and PWIs. Right now, we are on 7 campuses across the state of Mississippi, which is very, very exciting. With this, we do train our young people about the policy projects. Like we said before, we train them about what is a bill, how to advocate for yourself. If you come to the Capitol, how can you do that? But also with that, we also tell them what's the process of doing voter mobilization campaigns on their campuses. How could you guys maybe storm the dorms, host a voter registration drive at your local cafeteria? How do you be a part of the D9 and get them to partner on your campus to get more people mobilized and excited about voting? And then also maybe pizza to the polls. Young people like food, so there was another way that we did mobilization and just bring the people, our young people in. As Mr. Sanchez said before, we're intergenerational, so we're just not having people, the older people call. We're having the young people call as well. So they're texting and they're calling and they're mobilizing themselves along with their peers about what the elections that's coming up. And also, when we want to talk about voter mobilization, we also want to bring in telling them, hey, it's very, very important to mobilize. So basically telling them the background of civic engagement and why we do mobilize. And that's all that I have about that, voter mobilization.
Great job, Zakia. Great job. That's our young person there. She's our future leader. So excited to have her. Carla, she's going to talk about our transformational leadership work.
Thank you, Cassandra. And one thing I want to piggyback on what Zakiya was saying with our Power the Sister Vote boot camps. That was a mobilization effort to train women in their local community so they can go out and do a voter registration, mobilize people to the polls. And so it wasn't just that one day boot camp. We monitored them over several months through the general election and to get people out to vote. So she was selling herself short there. It was a very powerful thing our civic engagement team did from summer until November. So thank you so much, Zakiya. One of the things that I hope you all recognize in what we're saying, that we're looking for generational change. And in order to do that, that takes long-term movement building. And so, with long-term movement building, we need those leaders throughout. So we need them at the State House, the City Hall, we need them at the PTA meeting, we need them at the student council, we need them on the school board. And so our transformation leadership program is our newest program, MSBWR, and we are training women to be advocates for themselves and for their communities. One of the first ones we have in partnership with two other organizations called Mississippi Women Lead. We recognize that it takes women several times, I believe 5 times, or Jennifer, you can correct me, could be 7 times, if you ask them to run for office, to actually run. And we wanted to equip women to have that confidence to run for office. Our goal is to make change at the State House. But what we recognize is we need to train people on the local level as well. And so in partnership with Women's Foundation of Mississippi and One Voice, we have this wonderful program where we're training women for several months and taking through the ins and outs of the campaign. We just finished our second cohort. And with that, between the two cohorts, we were able to train almost 40 women to run for office, and they are already on the go, on fire in Mississippi. So we have several that are already in office, and we have 5 that are running for campaigns at our local municipal elections, which are so important. Our second program is our ambassadors program. So what we recognize is, in order to shift policy, we need to hear from the women in their communities and what's really going on, the issues that are happening. And so we are taking women who are those mothers. They could be single mothers. They could be the local teachers, those who want to do more and for their community and speak out. We are taking them and training them. And so we are on our second cohort of the ambassadors program. They learn all about MSBWR. They learn about policy, and we take them out with us. Starting tomorrow, we have our national summit from National Coalition of Black Civic Participation, where we have the Black Women's Roundtable Summit. On Thursday, we're taking the ambassadors to the Capitol, and they're going to be talking to our elected officials. They're going to be talking to our state senators. And so we train them to be advocates for themselves. And so with those two programs, we'll be continuing to have leaders throughout the state of Mississippi. Our newest baby we have is Eva Thompson's Girls Institute. And Eva Thompson is the foster grandmother of Cassandra. Eva Thompson took in Cassandra's mother's family, all her siblings, and that was inspiration for the work that she does. Cassandra, I believe she said that she is a licensed social worker, a community organizer. And so we are working with young girls who are in the foster care system, and we are giving them tools and training them to be future leaders. And so we just started that cohort, and we're involved with 19 young ladies. And we're so excited about this program and where it's going to go. And we'll be working with them for over the next 6 months to really build them up, lift them up. And what we hope is we can take them to the next level in the ambassadors program. And then we hope that they can get excited and want to run for a local office. And so it's moving up that ladder of engagement, as Cassandra said. Sandra.
Thank you, Carla. Next slide. I hope this is getting you all excited and got your wheels turning.
This is Chris. I'm just going to jump in real quick. we are at maybe a halfway point, so I just wanted to like
Okay.
check in and see if now's a good time to do questions or if we should wait a little bit more. What do you think, Cassandra?
I would say let's go a little bit.
Great.
Yeah. But y'all keep your questions because I think we're running over. So we'll try to catch up. The next one is around what are our organizing strategies and what's been our impact and how we've been building power and drive change. So one of our strategies definitely is around storytelling as advocacy. For us, and Mississippi, storytelling is just in our DNA. Like that's what we do here is storytell. And stories are important because you can't argue with people's experiences. And when we're advocating for, early voting, or we're advocating for increasing minimum wage, or advocating for healthcare for moms in communities, we want to be able to put those stories front and center so we don't have legislators saying to us, oh, I've never heard that before. Oh, that's not a real issue. But when you are organizing, women and families around these issues, and they are now bringing their stories, and now that's getting picked up on media, social media, communities like, yeah, that's my girl. Yeah, I remember da 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 da. This is our story too here. And so storytelling really begins to make a thing move, right? And so storytelling is one of our important ways in which we lift up the issues, and we bring those women front and center to those policy makers to say, you can't ignore Mary's story. And so that's one of the ways in which we do it. We do demonstration projects too. And I'm gonna bring Jennifer in to talk about the power of the pocketbook when we were advocating for equal pay, but it was a bigger campaign really about centering women's money, right? And so Jennifer built that campaign out. And so I'm gonna bring Jennifer in to talk about that.
Good morning. Again, I consult with Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable in several ways, one being a campaign strategist. A few years ago, Cassandra had already been doing the work of equal pay and moving the needle forward, but we really needed to scale the visibility of the campaign. And so we built a multi-layered campaign using different mediums, from commercials to billboards to yard signs, targeting key legislative officials based upon their committee assignments in district, as well as here in the capital area. While they were present, but also having messaging being lobbied to them in their home districts, because most of our legislators go home. As a demonstration, one of the things we did at the Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable's Day at the Capitol was we led a campaign, as Cassandra mentioned, where we literally put the legislative agenda inside of purses that we had collected, and community members, community partners, coalition partners helped to from around the state helped to collect. I think we had over 500 purses. I think we probably still have some purses left that we placed on, and we filled those purses with the legislative agenda of the Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable, a specific ask, and each of those purses were placed on the legislator's desk, driving the point home that in order for a woman to her purse to be secure, right, for her economic life to be secure, these things needed to be passed. That campaign was so effective that those that opposed us could not deny the messaging and literally stole the campaign. by literally taking language that we were moving. That it was so effective that we actually got language out of we got a bill out of committee, and people across the state and across the aisle were really resonating with the message, but because it is not something that was welcomed, unfortunately, by those who were in charge. A legislator was directed to strike all at the podium on the floor, but the bill had gained such momentum because of this campaign. Again, because we were touching people not only here in the Jackson area, but we were touching people at their homes. They were having to hear it on the radio, on social media, and they just could not deny the power of the pocketbook campaign, and everything was tied back to not only that slogan but to the logo that was developed for that campaign. So really moved the needle forward. We're proud of that work, even though it was stolen.
Thank you, Jennifer. And a bill finally came out 2 years ago, but it wasn't the right bill. And it's still one of the worst ones. But we're not done with it. But people know us as the equal pay organization, and know the power that we bring into the room. I think we've talked about, the strategies around, the community-led civic engagement work, and the training and leadership development that Carla and Zakia talked about. So they talked about the strategies that we've used in order to build power and create change. So we can move on to the next slide. So some of our core values, of course, we talked about is centering the impact, is centering impacted voices. That is important for us. We don't advocate for anything and talk about this outside of community. All of us have been trained and value, community. And so we don't just advocate for the communities, we amplify there, and they are inserted into everything that we do. The intersectionality is so important. When we talk about, when we address, healthcare, we're talking about not just the healthcare of that mom, we're also talking about her pocketbook. And we're talking also about, domestic violence that she may be experiencing. It is important that we tie all of those things in to the issue, because we're not single issue people. None of us are, and particularly women and Black women. We're just not single issue people. Multi-generational, you heard me talk about that. We have all people, all generations, that's a part of our work. That is how you do effective change work in this country. And this is in Mississippi's DNA. Intergenerational movement building. That's how the civil rights movement started. And you talk about in the South, period. This is a value that we have, is doing that intergenerational. And then the long-term systemic change is so important also for us. So all of these things for us is building up to that long-term, the long-term work of really moving the arc of justice, bending the arc of justice for change and tearing down systemic racism. All right, we can go on to the next slide. So, so the next slide, we'll just talk through some of the barriers. Mississippi legislative, Mississippi's political climate, present challenges. There's a lot of legislative resistance. What you're seeing at the federal level has always been what we have experienced at the state level. And so when people, we often say, welcome to the South, welcome to Mississippi, because we've been experiencing this hard resistance for, decades. But we built such an incredible muscle that gives us the opportunity to implement creative strategies and build the networks that we need in order to influence change. So sometimes people write off the South or write off Mississippi. They're like, oh, they're not going to move or do anything. But as you have clearly heard us say, we have been able to move some things, and that's been really good. The last governor race, and Jennifer, you may be able to know the percentage points. We had 2 governor races in the last 8 years, and those governor races have continued. The gap has continued close. That would get Mississippi a governor that really votes and care about the issues that we care about. Now, Mississippi Black Women's Roundtable, we are a nonpartisan organization. We don't support the candidate or oppose. That's right. But I want to just tell you, like, that's some of the things that we have been, experiencing. So the voter suppression is real. The systemic barriers are real, but we've been able to move the needle. I'll just tell you quickly, in 2022, there was a large number of people that was registered to vote. Last year or 2 years ago, I believe, in 2023, there was new law passed that purged voters from the rolls. 30,000 plus voters were purged from the voter rolls. As you heard me say, we've been getting closer and closer to electing a governor that really has the values of the community, of the people. And now you have these voter suppression tactics that are coming up that then, kick people off the voting rolls. That says that we're doing something right. And so there are definitely, oppositions from unexpected sources that pop up. One thing that Jennifer didn't mention, when we moved the voter, the Power of the Pocketbook campaign, we were targeted as an organization. One of the things Jennifer said to me, she said, if we do this campaign at this scale, are you ready? Because you're going to get attacked. And so we made sure our house was in order. And sure enough, after the legislative session was over, our organization got attacked. The Secretary of State requested an audit, and did an audit on the organization. And so that was an attack. Like, we was doing the good work, but our house was in order. And so Jennifer, we was like, bring it on. I was freaking out, but Jennifer was like, bring it on. We good. And sure enough, we were good. Next slide. Coalition building. Yep. And trust. Mississippi is a very small place. And so nothing that we do can be done in isolation. We have to do the coalition building in order to move change. We're a small community. And so we always have to collaborate with one another. No one can do this work by themselves. We're not the expert in everything, but we definitely know how to build partnerships, and we know how to do coalition building. We also know how to share resources. And so for us, we've been able to do that. And that's how a lot of our organizations work here. Someone may be the expert in healthcare, because we're not the expert on all these things, but we know how to pull people in the room, and we know how to say, we care about Black women on this issue. We know that you're the expert on this, particularly around our Black maternal health. We're not the expert on that. And we bring in our maternal health experts, but we know how to do the organizing, right? We know how to do that strong advocacy. And so we bring all of our collective strengths to the table. Trust is so important through and through our engagement. When we're going into community and, Melissa's at the laundromat with the people, she holds those relationships, and she's very, very, very protective of those women and those families that come through the laundromat. And so we take care. We want them to be in the engagement ladder, come through that engagement ladder. And so we take great care of those relationships that come our way, and we respect them highly. And we have a process in how we engage, and people call us all the time. NBC News call us all the time. ABC, just news outlets calls us. It's like, you have someone who can do a story on this. And so we vet that. We don't let none of our people get in front of a camera if we don't vet. We got a call from another casting organization yesterday who wants to come in and do this big story on something, and they can't find people in the community to interview. Well, we know them. They want Black women in the Mississippi Delta. Well, we know them. But I've said, not until I understand who the client is, how you got your money, and I want to understand what you're going to do with these resources. And so I just want to let you know that's kind of how we move. And non-traditional allies and strategic messaging is so key to our work. I know I kind of ran through the last, but I just wanted to make sure there was enough time for Q&A so that we can, talk and reflect together. And so I'm going to, the next slide is our Q&A. And so Christopher and your team, I'll let you all kind of take it from here. What resonated most with you all? What challenges do you see in your own communities? So I'm just going to turn it over to you all. What insights and questions do you have?
I'm just going to jump in real quick before we open the floor. I just want to say thank you all. I am so grateful for this. I learned a lot. And, as I mentioned in the chat, everyone, this is just the first part of a 3-part series. Today was all about learning. I know I achieved that goal and objective, so thank you for that. The next part will be us discussing this more in community with the group of folks here. So please do come to next week's session, same time. And then the last part is really us creating, which is practicing some of these principles and things that we learned today. So I just want to give that as kind of where we're going next. But let me be quiet and see what questions you have. Please drop it in the chat. Unmute yourself, whichever you prefer. Sandra, you blew everyone away.
Well, I think somebody got it. This had to start.
I see Trina's coming. Trina's coming.
Hi, Cassandra. I'm Trina Warren. And hi, I work with New Orleans East Green Infrastructure Collective. Myself and Pam and Jackie are on the line. And we worked with climate resiliency and environmental injustice in the New Orleans East area. We work on the collective of other similar organizations, and we're working with getting our residents and other community members and businesses to understand green infrastructure and the importance of green infrastructure and climate resiliency and environmental injustice. We work with tree planting and other things of that nature to help with the urban heat island effect. Myself in particular, with the medical portion of how heat impacts people's chronic medical conditions. And heat is the number one killer. And so we work with the communities here. We work with trying to mitigate flooding and things of that nature. And so we work with the communities on green infrastructure and the urban heat island effect that causes problems for our communities. And so we're excited to be here at the table, and we are looking forward to creating a coalition and partnership with you guys in the near future.
Trina, we would love that. Love that. Really love that. So please, let's stay in touch with one another.
Yes. Thank you so much for inviting us. And again, we are happy to be here.
Thank you, Trina. And Amira put in the chat, what is on your policy agenda for this year that community partners have uplifted as concerns?
Carla put our policy agenda in the chat as well. And so those are all the things that we are focusing on this legislative session. Our session started in January and we're still in it. And so we've been definitely focusing on kind of the top 2 priorities has been around Medicaid expansion and paid leave. But there are also some other issues that we've been focusing on too. Still our equal pay, which is around salary history. We want to amend the bill so that we can get salary history banned from companies asking. And so if you open that would be what you will see that.
Thank you for sharing. There is from Kimberly. Thank you for sharing, Kimberly. resonated with Kimberly was seeing this work done in another state that's happening in Virginia. And I think that, you know, when I'm thinking, I'm in Louisiana, very much same thing unfolding.
So, Christopher,
know,
let me add this. I do want to say that MSBWR's policy agenda does not change drastically from year to year because we want to continue to progress the issues. You know, as some would say, we want to work ourselves out of the issue, and until the issue has been solved, until our goals have been met, we continue to advance the same set of issues. Strategy may adjust depending on the issues that we face. Sometimes the capital is more friendly. Sometimes it's not. You know, how far do we have to lean into our H election? And so those are factors that we continue, but our agenda does not drastically change from year to year.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think that, you know, I just wrote down what you said, which is work ourselves out of the issue. And yeah, that is exactly right. I think about that in my own work, right? These public health problems should be solved, right? That we're working ourselves out of those issues. There's some more coming in around, and I know we're like at time, but maybe what I can do is collect these and then we'll bring them into session 2, which we have next week at the same time, 12 p.m. Central. And like I mentioned, that's going to be much more of a discussion-based session. So a lot more time for communication, thinking about our own spaces and how to practice kind of what we learned today. Take some tips and tricks. Thank you everyone for coming. We really appreciate it. I will collate all this and we will see you all next week.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for hosting this. This is lovely.
Thanks.